Welcome to the Law Offices of Chris M. Ingram podcast. Today we are discussing part 2 of our 4-part series on acquiring U.S. citizenship. Okay, let's talk about U.S. immigration.
Welcome back, everyone. So last time we started looking at the path to becoming a U.S. citizen. Today, we're really zeroing in on something super important, the continuous residence rule.
Right, the continuous residence rule. It sounds like a big one.
It really is. Think of it as, well, a cornerstone for figuring out if a green card holder is actually eligible to apply for naturalization.
Absolutely. So our mission today, if you will, is to really get under the hood of this rule, understand what it is, why it's there, and how it impacts someone's citizenship journey.
Exactly. It's not just about knowing the rule exists, but understanding the why behind it and what it means practically for green card holders looking to become citizens.
Okay, let's dive in then. This rule, Congress put it in place. What was the thinking? Was it just bureaucracy?
Well, not just bureaucracy, though sometimes it feels that way, right? No, Congress basically saw it as a kind of probationary period for new permanent residents.
Probationary period. Interesting. Why did they feel that was needed?
Well, there were a few key reasons. First, just giving people time to actually settle into life here in the U.S., find their feet.
Makes sense. Moving countries is a huge adjustment.
Totally. And it's also a chance to, well, learn English, which is often part of the citizenship requirement anyway.
Right. Communication is key for integration. What else?
It's also about getting familiar with American life, our traditions, customs, how our government and institutions work. And there was this idea of needing time to what they called shed foreign attachments.
Shedding foreign attachments. Okay, that sounds a bit formal. What does that really mean in practice?
Yeah, it sounds intense. Think of it more like developing your primary sense of belonging and loyalty here. It's about genuinely connecting with the principles of the U.S. Constitution and how our government runs. It doesn't mean forgetting where you came from, not at all.
Okay, so it's about a shift in primary allegiance.
Exactly. And very importantly, it's also a period to show you can live here as a law-abiding person, demonstrate good moral character over time.
So proving you're a good fit for citizenship, basically. Showing consistent good conduct.
That's a good way to put it. Demonstrating your suitability, your fitness to be fully accepted as a U.S. citizen. You see, Congress was specifically concerned about people getting a green card. And then maybe not really living here much, just kind of keeping the status active and then applying for citizenship right when the minimum time was up.
I get it.
Yeah.
They wanted to ensure people were genuinely becoming part of the U.S. community, not just holding the paperwork. So this rule sets that expectation.
Precisely. Now, tied into this is another layer, physical presence.
Right. You mentioned that. How does that fit in?
So that came a bit later with legislation in 1952. Congress added a specific requirement. You don't just need continuous residence on paper, you also need to have been physically present in the U.S. for at least half of that required residential period.
Okay, hold on. So 2 separate things to track. Holding the green card continuously, A&D actually being physically in the U.S. for a good chunk of that time.
Exactly right. At least half the time. And while it sounds straightforward enough...
I sense a but coming.
Yeah. Calculating that physical presence... it can get pretty complicated, especially if you travel back and forth a lot for work, family, whatever. Every single day counts.
Wow. Okay. So keeping meticulous travel records is crucial then. Now, you mentioned the term residence. Let's nail down the definition. Is there a specific legal meaning here?
Yes, there is, and it's quite specific, thanks to that 1952 Act Savings Clause again. It defines residence as, and this is the key part, the place of general abode. His principal actual dwelling place, in fact, without regard to intent.
Without regard to intent. That seems really important. So it doesn't matter what you say your main home is. It matters where you actually live.
That's the heart of it. You could say, have a U.S. address, maybe own property here, and tell everyone you intend to live here primarily. But if you actually spend, 10 months a year living and working somewhere else,
then that other place is likely your principal actual dwelling place.
Exactly. Immigration looks at the reality of where you spend your time, where your life is centered, not just what you claim your intention is.
Okay, that clarifies things. So boiling it down for someone trying to figure out their eligibility, what are the 2 absolute must-haves?
2 critical factors. Number 1, how long have you officially held your legal permanent resident status? Your green card.
Okay, the duration of the green card.
And number 2, how much of that time have you actually been physically present inside the United States?
Got it. length of status and length of physical presence. You said figuring out the green card duration is usually simple.
Yeah, that's usually just looking at the date on the card. It's tracking all the absences, all the days spent outside the U.S. That's where the complexity really lies.
Right, because immigration will literally count every single day.
Every day since you got that green card, they'll tally up all your trips abroad.
So, just as an example, if someone's eligible under the 3-year rule, maybe they're married to a U.S. citizen, they need to show they were physically in the U.S. for at least, 18 months?
Exactly. Half of the 3 years is 18 months. That physical presence needs to be documented.
Okay, and this brings us to something you hear about a lot, the 6-month rule. What's that about?
Ah, yes, the 6-month rule. It's a guideline, really. Generally speaking, if you take trips outside the U.S., but each trip is less than 6 months long, those shorter trips typically don't break your continuous residence for naturalization. Your clock keeps ticking, essentially.
Okay, so keeping trips under 6 months is generally the safe bet if you want to avoid disrupting that continuous residence period.
It's definitely advisable, yeah. Now, trips longer than 6 months, that's a different story. It doesn't automatically disqualify you, but it raises a red flag.
It creates a presumption that you might have broken residence.
Exactly. You'd likely have to provide evidence to overcome that presumption and show you didn't abandon your U.S. residence. But yeah, keeping trips under 6 months avoids that whole issue, usually.
Makes sense. So we've talked a lot about the rules, the requirements. Maybe we should pivot slightly. Why go through all this? Why is becoming a U.S. citizen actually such a big deal? I mean, beyond just the status itself.
That's a great question, because understanding the why is really important motivation, right? And the benefits are substantial, truly life-changing for many.
Okay, lay some out for us. What are the big advantages?
Well, let's start with legal rights. As a citizen, you get the fundamental right to vote in federal elections. You have a direct say in who leads the country and the laws they make. That's huge.
Absolutely. Full participation in democracy.
And you can also run for public office yourself, with a couple of exceptions, like president and vice president. Plus, and this is a major one for peace of mind, protection from deportation. Once you're a citizen, that fear is gone. Permanent residency, while secure, doesn't offer that same absolute protection. Citizenship is final.
That security must feel immense. What about family?
Big advantages there, too. U.S. citizens can petition for certain relatives, spouses, children, parents, siblings, to get visas and green cards. And often the waiting times are shorter and the categories are broader compared to what a permanent resident can petition for.
So it makes family reunification potentially easier and faster. It's definitely a powerful draw. What about, say, economic benefits?
Definitely economic pluses. For one, certain jobs, especially high-level federal government positions or jobs with companies that do sensitive government contract work, often require U.S. citizenship.
Ah, okay. So it opens up more career paths.
It can, yes. Access to those federal jobs often means competitive pay, good benefits, stability, and don't forget international travel, traveling on a U.S. passport.
Easier entry into many countries.
Generally, yes. And you have the backing of U.S. embassies and consulates if you run into trouble abroad. That's a significant safety net.
True. And education. Any advantages there?
Yes. Citizens often have better access to federal financial aid for college or university grants, loans, work-study programs. It can make higher education more affordable.
So better job prospects, easier travel, potentially more affordable education.
Yeah.
It really touches a lot of areas.
It really does. And then there's the sort of social and cultural aspect, too. For many, becoming a citizen feels like the final step in truly integrating, in fully identifying as American, while still, of course, honoring their heritage.
A sense of full belonging, perhaps.
Exactly. It can lead to deeper community involvement, a stronger sense of connection. It's symbolic, but also very real for people.
So when you pull it all together, it's about legal security, expanded rights and responsibilities, economic opportunity, easier family reunification, and that sense of full integration.
You've got it. It's really the culmination of the immigrant journey for many. It secures their place, broadens their horizons, and allows full participation in American life. It's a benefit to the individual and, honestly, a benefit to the U.S., too, gaining committed citizens.
This has been incredibly helpful, really breaking down not just the how of the continuous residence rule, but the why behind pursuing citizenship itself.
Glad we could shed some light on it. Understanding these rules, like continuous residence and physical presence, is just so fundamental to navigating the naturalization process successfully.
Thank you so much for being with us today. We hope you got a lot out of this discussion, and we'll see you in part 3 of the series.